Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So I'm excited this week because we are revisiting our long-running series from last year, the Road to Rotation. So we are just about at the right number of weeks such that we can do one of the block 2 leaders every week all the way up until rotation. And we'll kind of go over the different cards that we have for each of the leaders and some potential tech. And so that'll be the main bit of the video. And then at the end, I'll discuss a little bit how I want to mix it up because I think I want you guys to participate. And I think this is a neat way to plug the Discord as a kind of different way that you guys can interact with the channel. So I guess just throwing it out there, I am not going to suggest full deck lists, but what I'll do is in the Discord, again, link in the description, I will be taking submissions for the leaders that we talk about. And then at the beginning of next week, when we move on to the next leaders, I will go over some of the submissions that you guys did for these leaders that we're talking about. And then we'll kind of go from there. So something for you guys to kind of stretch your brewing muscles or whatever. And it'll give us all a neat way of kind of interacting with these leaders before they rotate. So for the first week, because these three leaders all came out at the exact same time from the same booster deck, I decided I'd do a triple feature. So what we're doing is the beginning of block 2 leaders. We have ST10, which is this Monkey D. Luffy, this red purple Trafalgar Law, and this red purple Eustace Chem Kid. So for those who weren't playing the game at that time, these leaders all came out in a single package. You got one deck of 50 cards, and then you got all three of these leaders. The deck was designed to work with all three of the leaders, and then give you a good starting point to build out from there. So what I'll do is I'll go through the kind of cards that are unique to them, some cards that kind of link all three of them together, and then I'll pass it off to you guys, and then next week we'll go over what you came up with. But just to get into it, first we have our leader effects. We have Monkey D. Luffy, red purple, 6,000 power strike leader with 3 life, and activate main once per turn. If you have 0 Dawn cards on your field, or 8 or more Dawn cards on your field, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. So definitely in effect, similar to how Blue Purple worked, you want to get up to that 8 Dawn effect as early as you can so that you can continually use this. And the 0 Dawn, while it seems kind of difficult to get to 0 Dawn, there are a couple specific cards that work with this leader that you can take advantage of that if you have 0 on the field to get one active. Main thing though is getting up to 8 and then being able to use a Dawn Minus for free essentially for the rest of the game, while also being a 6k leader who has access to some great cards. After that we have Trafalgar Law, a 5k slash leader with 4 life, and activate main once per turn, Dawn Minus 3. Place up to one of your opponent's characters with 3,000 power or less at the bottom of the owner's deck, and then play one character with a cost of 4 less from your hand. This is what it used to say, essentially. This leader here has been banned. It was just too strong. We didn't even get to play it at its peak in the West, in the English meta, because this leader ability is very, very good at squashing an opponent's momentum if you can play around it. I'm not sure if it would still be ban-worthy today, but it is very strong and the kind of leader that is not very... it doesn't have a whole lot of upside to try to unban it, because I don't think that if it's unbanned and it isn't good enough, it just won't see 0 play. And if it's unbanned and it's good enough, it will see all play. So it's really risky for them to unban it. What it did get replaced with, though, is this promo. Another 5,000 for life, same slash. With activate main, once per turn, Dawn Minus 3, send one of your 3,000 power or higher characters to the bottom of your deck, so you can only bottom deck your own stuff, and play up to 1 4-cost or lower Heart Pirates type character from your hand. So they really throttled this deck. They did not want it to miss on the other side. So unfortunately, we'll go over some of the cards for him, but I don't think that anyone should worry too much about Red Purple Law. If they ever did decide to unban it, it'd be interesting to see. But I think it's very risky for them to do because this really cramps your ability to print four cost or less red and purple cards, because this is such a strong effect that it really cramps design. And then our final leader, probably the one that saw the least amount of play. Oh, definitely the one that saw the least amount of play. We have a 5,000 power special leader with 5 life, red and purple. With your turn, if you have 4 or more life cards, give this leader minus 1,000 power. So on your turn, it usually only attacks for 4. And then it has, when attacking, Don -1. This leader gains 2,000 power during this turn. So you can get up to that 6k even at the beginning of the game if you give up a Don -1, which is a pretty steep cost. And then once you get to 3 life or lower, you'll be able to swing normally and then just have that kind of gravy. So the interesting trade-off here, we have the regular 5 cost or 5,000 for life. We have one of the new stat lines. At the time that this was printed, it was only the second 6k leader behind the mono red Whitebeard. But that one has 3 life, and then we have a 5 life, 5,000 power, but it is weakened on attack at the beginning of the game. So a lot of different variety with the different leaders. Now that we've kind of gone over their basic effects, let's go over some of the cards you could run in each of them. So starting with what I think is probably the most interesting of them, it's kind of a unique effect here. And it's got some interesting support, even as recently as EBO4. It's gotten some new cards. I think it's EBO4. EBO4, it even got some new cards. So this is Kid. So with that, we want to look at some cards that are unique to him, which is going to be Kid Pirates type cards. All right, so first card we'll look at, we have the basic Searcher for Kid Pirates. It's 1 cost 2,000 power, 1k counter. Killer, with on play, look at the top 5 from your deck, reveal a Kid Pirates other than Killer, and add it to your hand. The rest of the bottom in any order. Find staple effect that you can put in any of your decks that include the Kid Pirates type. It's just a good staple kind of effect to have. After that, we have for 3 Dawn, 4,000 power / 1k counter. We have a blocker. This is Hitokiri Kamazo. And then your turn, once per turn, when a Dawn card on your field is returned to your Dawn deck, if your leader is has the Kid Pirates type, add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck and rest it. So this is a blocker that makes it to where this Dawn -1 when you're using your when attacking effect doesn't deramp you. So really strong effect for leaders that really want to be using a Dawn -1 every turn. This sort of effect is great, and being on a blocker means that it's not usually going to be a dead card either. Allowing you to very frequently get that 6k swing in at whenever you need it from the 3 Dawn turn on. Next up we have Heat, who's a 3 cost 4,000 power special with 1k counter. Another blocker with on play, up to one of your leaders with 4,000 power or less gains 1,000 power during this turn. So because you are one of the few leaders with 4,000 power, you will get to take advantage of this in the early game, allowing you to play out a blocker and then swing that neutral 5k that everyone else gets, while still being a 2-color leader with that 5 life. After that, we have a Eustace Captain Kid card. This is a 3 cost 5,000 power special with no counter. And on play, you may add the top card of your life to your hand. If your leader has a Kid Pirates type, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. So this is effectively a card draw. It is also getting you closer to being at 3 or less life, which means your leader goes back to being a regular 5k, and it ramps you. So this kind of does just a little bit of everything that the deck wants. This one was from OP09, definitely designed for this deck, you can tell. And just a great little effect. You have plenty of options at the 3 Dawn slot here between Kamazo, Heat, and Kid now. It makes for a lot of angles to try to set up your early game. Oftentimes what this deck would do is take up the first couple hits to pad out hand size and get up to 5k, and then you just try to take advantage of from there. After that, we have another 3-drop. This one is Wire. It's a 3 cost, 3000 power, 1k counter with blocker, another blocker. And once per turn, when a Dawn card on your field is returned to your Dawn deck, draw 1 card and trash 1. Again, working really well with this leader ability, letting you set it up every turn and set up your hand to get yourself into the end game with the cards you need. Yeah, you have plenty of good 3-drops in this deck. And it's just a matter of which ones you want to pick. You have several different blockers, all great. And they all synergize well with the leader. After that, we have Kid and Killer. This one is from EBO1. It's a 4 cost, 5000 power slash and special with no counter and rush. And when attacking, if your opponent has 2 or less life cards, this character gains 2000 power during this turn. So this is just a really strong rush option. It swings above the vanilla stat line with rush, which is really good if you have your opponents on the ropes. And does represent a whole lot of aggression that you can kind of exert on your opponents, and kind of maybe sneak in a swing at the end of the game to kind of get there. After that, we have the 5 cost 6000 power special 1k counter used as Captain Kidd. Another blocker with your turn once per turn. When a Dawn card is on your field is returned to your Dawn deck, add up to 1 Dawn card from the Dawn deck and set it as active. So now that we're looking at more than one of these, we start to get into an interesting spot where the Dawn -1 is not a Dawn -1, but it gets replaced with a rested and an active Dawn, allowing you to actually gain Dawn off of this, which makes a really unique sort of situation where you get to use your leader ability, get back 2 different Dawn for the cost of 1, and then potentially use another Dawn minus effect, or otherwise just attach and get some really big swings off of these things, which are all blockers. So at the end of the game, you can convert them from the the value you're getting out of the Dawn replacement into defense. So nice for the deck. After that, we have a 5 cost 5000 power slash 1k counter Killer with on play Dawn -1, set up to one of your Kid Pirate type leaders as active. So this is the main crux of where this deck wants to go. Notice that this when attacking ability is not a once per turn. So if you attack, use the Dawn to go up to maybe a 7k, and then restand, you get to swing again, going up to a 9k swing, and that's with no other investment other than 5 Dawn here and then 2 Dawn -1s, which if you have access to these guys means no investment other than the 5 Dawn for Killer for a 7 and a 9k, which is starting to really add up in swings. After that, we have a 5 cost 6000 power slash 1k counter Killer. This one is your turn once per turn. When a Dawn card on your field is returned to your Dawn deck, KO up to one of your opponent's rested characters at the cost of 3 or less. This one is a little more niche, but works really well with your leader ability. You essentially make it to where your opponents can't just rely on having small bodies that can swing at you, because you just get to pop them with this ability. And also being in our archetype here, we get to really leverage all of the Kid Pirate stuff. Unfortunately, it being a killer, as well as these 2 being killer, means you cannot search them, but this one you can. Even though it is killer, just his name on the card is a little bit different, so you end up with this one being searchable off of the killer. After that, we have a top-end card here, a 7 cost, 8000 power, no counter, special with Eustace Captain Kidd and no counter. And he has on play, add 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. And then activate main, you may trash this character, play up to 1 Kid Pirates type character card with a cost of 5 or less from your hand. So usually what I would expect you would do is you would play this out on 1 turn, get the Dawn from it, use a single swing here, do what you need with that. Then on the following turn, you get an 8k swing off of this kid. You get a swing here with some Dawn attached. You KO this to summon out your kid or your killer. Killer restands your leader. You swing again for 2k more with the Dawn, and that represents potentially like 3 or 4 9k swings off of just 2 cards on board, which can be pretty impressive. So that is usually the end game that you're trying to work around, is using this killer to give your leader multiple swings. And the final card for Kid Pirates is this Punk Rotten. It's a 2-cost event with main Dawn -1. Up to one of your Kid Pirates type leader or characters gains 5,000 power during this turn. And then it has a trigger with add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. So what you can do here is use this on your leader, swing. Dawn minus, you would be a 12k swing. Then you play killer, restand, swing again, 14k swing, and you still have 3 Dawn left to work with. So it could even be a 13 and 15k swing for all of your 10 Dawn turn. And that's all off of just your leader. Getting 2 gigantic swings or whatever can a lot of times really end your opponent. So those are the Kid Pirates cards. These are going to be the ones that are more unique to this. Moving on to our next leader, we have Monkey D. Luffy. I'm not going to go over all of the Straw Hats. Straw Hats are kind of everywhere, and they end up being kind of universal effects in a lot of ways. So I'll go over the ones that I think are more unique to this leader, or otherwise you're going to be wanting. First up, we have the 2-cost 2,000 power 1k counter on play Searcher for Straw Hat type. That also has a trigger of play this card. Just a great searcher. You can also run the 1-cost Nami from OP01. It has a manga, so it is in rotation no matter what, allowing you to have a bunch of searchers for your thing, making your deck really consistent. Great basic effect to have. After that, we have Zorojuro, the 3-cost 4,000 power / character with 1k counter. And when attacking, if you have 3 or less life cards, add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck and set it as active. Well, we're a 3-life leader, so this is always active, allowing you to, if it sticks, always get that ramp active for no cost to you. And you can usually get a decent swing off of this. And your leader being 6k means that you can probably take that Dawn that you get with it and get a 7 in as well. So a 5 and a 7 on your 5 Dawn turn with very little investment there. After that, we have Usohachi. This is probably a pretty good staple card in general, but this is one that definitely is good in Straw Hats because it's searchable. It's a 3-cost, 3,000 power ranged character with 2k counter, the Usohachi. With on play, if you have 8 or more Dawn cards on your field, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less, allowing you to get around to a lot of different blockers. Not all of them, and it used to be much stronger because there weren't very many good blockers above that. But we definitely have a world where there's a lot more of that now. But still a really good 2k counter option. After that, we have the Sanji. This is another 2k counter option. 6-cost, 6,000 power strike, 2k counter with, if the number of Dawn cards on your field is at least 2 less than the number on your opponent's field, give this card in your hand a -3 cost, making it a 3/6 blocker, which is really good, but it's also just 2k, so it's just great to have. After that, we have the 7-cost 7k strike 1k counter Sanji. With on play, you may return 1 or more Dawn cards from your field to your Dawn deck. This character gains rest during this turn, then rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less. This is a good way of bypassing blockers or exerting pressure on your opponent's board by resting, swinging into it with Luffy, and swinging into it with Sanji. Especially because if you are at your 8 Dawn turn, your 9 Dawn turn, because this will be the Dawn minus that you can immediately get back with this Luffy, which works out pretty well. After that, we have some top end for the deck. We have the 9-cost 10,000 power strike, no counter Luffy. So it's from OP09, one of the secrets, and then it has on play, you may return one or more Dawn cards from your field to your Dawn deck, draw one card, and this character gains Rush. Another good rushing option here, allowing you to keep the pressure up. That Dawn -1 will immediately come back with your leader and getting you a draw. So it's just a whole lot of good stats for the deck, allowing you to really keep the pressure up without sacrificing too much other stuff. After that, we have the signature kind of card for this leader, which is the 10 cost Luffy. It is a 10 cost 12k with no counter. And this card has on play Dawn -10, and so that's where your if you have 0 Dawn cards comes in. Then you're going to place all of your characters except this character at the bottom of your deck in any order, and then take an extra turn after this. And then it also has activate main once per turn, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck, and set it as active. So the normal game plan with this is going to be swing with all of whatever characters you still have on board. Then you're going to play this Luffy, Dawn -10, go to 0 Dawn, activate your leader ability to go to 1 active Dawn, and then pay that 1 active Dawn to this ability to get a 2nd active Dawn. You get to swing a 7k, because that 1 active Dawn you can put on here, and then you go to your next turn. On that following turn, you're going to untap with 4 Dawn. You get to use the ability again, putting you back up to 5 Dawn. Then you can swing with your Luffy, and your Luffy getting in 2 really big swings. That is kind of, your opponent just has difficulty playing around this. Other things that this does get around is a lot of effects where the opponent is trying to buff up their leader for the following turn will end at the end of your turn. So the time when you're taking a 2nd turn, they do not get that remaining buff anymore. It also helps put pressure on stuff like Nami, blue-yellow Nami's ability, because they have to use their leader ability on 2 different turns, both with this Luffy swinging at least 7 on both of those turns, and then there being a 12k, forcing them to discard 2 different cards to keep their leader ability active. And then, because you're at 4 Dawn, you can also leave up Gum Gum Giant, which is the last card I wanted to talk about specifically for this. It is a 1 cost counter event with Dawn -2. You may trash 1 card from your hand. If your leader has a Straw Hat crew type, up to 1 of your leader or character cards gains 4,000 power during this battle, then draw 2 cards. So this is effectively a free +4 that doesn't cost you any cards in hand, lets you cycle out bricks, get to go again. The only downside being that it's a Dawn -2, but if you untap on the following turn, like if you're already on 10 Dawn, then this means that you just get this back right away. If you're not on 10 Dawn, then the leader effect here gives you the active Dawn that you might need so that you can use this Gum Gum Giant. All in all, just a lot of good synergy here. And Gum Gum Giant is kind of recognized as one of the more powerful cards that you can play in the game. It just has fallen out of favor. There's just a lot stronger archetypes to be playing other than Straw Hat, purple Straw Hats. But this card still makes waves in every deck that can run it. They just need reasons to be played. So that is our second deck, the Monkey D. Luffy. Moving on to the third one. This one will be pretty brief. We have Red Purple Law. This is the only one that's actually legal right now, and it is very bad. Almost inexcusably so. But there are a couple cards that do work with it. So first up we have this Law. It's a 4 cost 6,000 power / no counter blocker with on play. If the number of Dawn cards on your field is equal to or less than the number on your opponent's field, add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck and set it as rested. You're going Dawn -3, so this effect is almost certainly going to be active, allowing you to get a blocker out for essentially for free, and then getting you 1 of those Dawn back is about the peak of what this deck can do. After that, we have Shashi and Penguin. It's a 2k counter here, 4 cost 5,000 power ranged. With on play, if you have 3 or less Dawn cards on your field, add up to 2 Dawn cards from your Dawn deck and rest them. So Dawn -3, if you summon this guy out, and you happen to be down at 3 or less, you get 2 back, making it effectively a Dawn -1, which makes it a lot less painful. But still, Really poor ability at the end of the day. Having to send one of your guys back for this is really rough, even if you can get almost all of the Dawn back. After that, we have this Trafalgar Law, 4 cost, 5,000 power, 1k counter with blocker and on play, Dawn -1. If your opponent has 7 or more cards in their hand, trash 2 cards from your opponent's hand. This is an effect that effectively is random because you get to choose what your opponents discard, but you don't get to know what their cards are, so you get to just pick 2 of their cards to discard effectively at random. So yeah, this is a really good hand hate. It's just hard and a little unwieldy to use, and obviously it being in this leader is just, that's going to be Dawn -3 plus a Dawn minus. That's a Dawn -4 for a blocker and take 2 cards from their hand, which is pretty harsh to deal with. After that, we have Beppo, 4 cost, 5,000 power strike, 1k counter, on play and when attacking. If your opponent has more Dawn cards on their field than you, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and rest it. Just another good card for catching up. You are almost always going to be behind your opponent in Dawn, so this is just an important style effect to have. After that, we have another one that, while not directly good with the leader, it is a law, so it's searchable by our Heart Pirates type searchers, and it is the 6 cost, 7,000 power, 1k counter Trafalgar Law, with once per turn, if this character be removed from the field by your opponent's effect, you may give this character minus 2,000 power during this turn instead, and when attacking, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2,000 power during this battle. So generally a pretty good card at winning the field, and if you can manage to land it, is kind of hard for your opponent to get rid of as well. So just a solid law card in these colors. After that, we have Gamma Knife. This is one of the cards that we see even today in decks like Enel. A 2 cost main, Dawn -1. Give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 5,000 power during this turn. And then trigger, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. Really good at battling for board here. And in the old version of the leader, it would also allow you to get rid of an 8k, which was really strong. But that is no longer how the leader works, so this just happens to be a regular, pretty reasonable, fair card in the deck. After that, we have one more card, and this is a bit of a newer one. It was definitely not designed for this deck, but happens to work here. It is a 2 cost main, select one of your Trafalgar Law cards, usually going to be your leader. And that card gains 2,000 power during this turn. Then if the selected card attacks during this turn, your opponent cannot activate blocker. And then it has trigger of draw 1. So this is just your standard Diablo Jambe style effect, allowing your leader to sneak through the end to win. Or if you have one of your other laws, you can get through a different attack that's a little bit bigger. So those are the cards specific to Law. They focus around more Heart Pirates and stuff like that. Finally, we are going to go over some of the generic cards for these colors. So first thing, all of our leaders have a fair amount of Dawn minusing. So we have Black Maria here. This is particularly good, or was particularly good in Red Purple Law. It was actually the reason the card got banned, is because of its interaction with stuff like Black Maria. She is a 3 cost, 2,000 power special with 2k counter and activate main once per turn. If you have no other Black Maria characters, add up to 5 Dawn cards from your Dawn deck and rest them. Then at the end of this turn, return Dawn cards from your field to your Dawn deck until you have the same number of Dawn cards on your field as your opponent. It essentially allows you to catch up to 5 with your opponent, which means if you're aggressively using the Dawn minus effects, you can use them and then get a whole flood of Dawn back, kind of putting yourself back at parity. After that, we have Bon Clay, 4 cost, 1,000 power, 1k counter with on play, add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck and set it as active. And then when attacking, select up to one of your opponent's characters. This character's base power becomes the same as the selected character's power during this turn, making it a ramping card for 4. That also just gives you the opportunity to get a mirrored swing once, usually, later in the game. And then if your opponents don't have any good swings into this, like if they haven't played any searchers or anything like that, then it can sometimes even get away with a cheeky little block by being a threat that they have to respect. All in all, pretty great card. After that, we have the 5 cost, 6,000 power, special 1k counter, Don Quixote Rocinante. This is one of the options you can run with any of these decks. The Don Quixote Pirates package works pretty well with events, and all of these leaders kind of lean on events just a little bit. So being able to, on play, you may trash one of your events from your hand to draw 2, allows you to get, when you have too many of the events out of your hand, and then at the end of the turn, if you have 7 or more Dawn cards, you set up to 2 of your Dawn cards as active, allowing you to use your events on defense. Just kind of a both sides kind of are great when you have both defensive and offensive events that sometimes you have to cycle through. After that, we have the 7 cost, 9,000 power slash, no counter Zoro. With on play, your leader gains 2,000 power until the end of your opponent's next end phase. And activate main once per turn. If your opponent has a character with 8,000 power or more, this character gains rush character during this turn. So all of these leaders really like being able to go up to 7 or 8,000 power on the opponent's next turn, and then being a good rush character body is just great at helping to stabilize boards and keep you alive that much longer. This is just becoming a staple in red in general. Just a really great card all around. Next up after that, we have a new one here. We have the Sakazuki, the 7 cost, 8,000 power, no counter. On play, Dawn -1, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 6,000 power until the end of your opponent's next end phase. And then the activate main does not work because your leader is not Navy. So that one we won't even acknowledge. But being able to shrink one of your opponent's guys and making them it effectively means that character can't attack. And if it's a valuable enough character, you can usually swing at it with something you just have on board to try to get it off the board. So on the whole, it can be a pretty effective card at kind of dealing with threats. And especially in Luffy, you are already a 6k leader, so if you can really neuter their threats, you can kind of stifle a couple of their turns with just one card. After that, we have the 8 cost, 8,000 power, no counter Rayleigh. With on play, select up to 2 of your opponent's characters and give one character -3 and the other minus 2,000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. Then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 3,000 power or less. So a whole bunch of versatility here. All 3 of these effects can target different characters, allowing you to maybe shrink 2 bodies and then KO a third, maybe a chump blocker, or shrink and pop one character while shrinking another one for defense. So just a lot to work with here. And then especially with these decks, usually trying to hit the end game early, being able to take out multiple things on their board at the early game really can give you the momentum you need to kind of push forward into the end game. After that, we have the 8 cost, 9,000 power, no counter, Don Quixote do Flamingo. This one really goes with Rocinante. So if you're playing this one, you definitely want to be playing this one and then some more of the Dofi package. But it is a on-play, Dawn -1, play up to 1 Don Quixote Pirates type character card with a cost of 5 or less from your hand. And then on your opponent's attack once per turn, you may rest one of your Dawn cards and add one of your Dawn one card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. Just a really good card to go with stuff like Gum Gum Giant or other defensive events, allowing you to use Dawn minuses on your opponent's turn without losing out on your Dawn. After that, we have the 8 cost, 8,000 power strike, no counter Charlotte Katakuri. Is a blocker with, at the end of your turn, set up to 2 of your Big Mom Pirates type characters with a cost of 3 or more as active, then add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and rest it. Another way to take advantage of Dawn minusing by giving you 1 back, and then it just is an 8k body that can both attack for 8k and block for 8k on the same turn, making it a very potent sort of kind of just good stuff card to go in these big purple-red decks. After that, we have the 8 cost, 10,000 power, no counter Edward Newgate. With your turn, your leader gains double attack and 2,000 power. And then on play, you may reveal 2 cards with 8,000 power from your hand, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 6,000 power during this turn, allowing this one to really exert a lot of pressure on your opponent, either your opponent's board or your opponent's face, with a double attack and plus 2,000. Just a lot to like about this and the aggression that it can give you, or the defense that it can give you by kind of really dealing with your opponent's characters. A lot to like. After that, we have the 8 cost 10,000 power / no counter Goldie Roger. With on play, if your opponent has 10 Dawn cards on their field, your leader gains 2,000 power until the end of your opponent's next end phase. It's just another version of this style effect where you're getting 2,000 extra power, but this one is on a 10k body, allowing it to be really tough for your opponent to out your board. But especially in red, purple Luffy, this sort of effect makes you almost unattackable because you're 8k base at that point. Which is really hard to crack. After that, we have a 9 cost 9,000 power no counter Charlotte Linlin. With on play, Dawn -1. You may trash one card from your hand, add up to one card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards, then add up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less to the top or bottom of your opponent's life cards face up. This one fits in a much slower version of these decks, probably in red, purple, Luffy most likely, where you are really aiming at controlling their board, and then using effects like Linlin to keep yourself healthy, and then set up a board full of really big bodies that you will use to swing at your opponent in the end game and really control the end game by kind of going for it all in one turn, 1 or 2 turns. The other thing is, it's nice that these cards are going to be face up and you know what they are, so it means that you can plan around the triggers that they will or will not have and the amount of counter that they will or will not have, allowing you to do perfect math a lot better. After that, we have the 10 cost 12,000 power / Shanks with no counter. Give all of your opponent's characters minus 1,000 power and rush. If you're going to ramp to 10, this is one of the better things you can do, giving you a whole bunch of defensive value, especially in red, purple Luffy, allowing you to, at your 6k base with this, effectively makes you a 7k base to a lot of things, except against their leader, which this doesn't work. But this is also great at just clearing out boards. Pretty much anything on the board that they have stuck will die to this Shanks, and allow you to kind of set up into the end game. Final character we wanted to go over is the 10 cost 13,000 power / no counter Goldie Roger. He has Rush, and when your opponent activates Blocker, if either you or your opponent has 0 life, you win the game. So this is a really strong way of getting through blockers in the end game, especially because as a more aggressive deck, you can choose to just take a bunch of hits to go to 0, turning this ability on and making all of their blockers not work, for you to kind of swing back into them and kind of really effective way of winning the game. It's a good checkmate for decks that want to play a bunch of blockers. Finally, for an event, Mamaragon is a pretty good one for these decks. It's 0 cost, main Dawn -2, draw a card, then rest up to one of your opponent's characters with 5,000 power or less. This means a lot of blockers get rested, gives you a lot of control to, in the mid-game, just go at some of their board. And then it also has counter up to one of your leader characters gains 1,000 power during this battle. Then if you have 6 or less Dawn cards on your field, draw 1 card. You probably won't get a draw 1 off of this in a lot of situations, because most of the time you won't be at 6 or less Dawn. But making this just a 1k makes the low side of this not so bad. So those are the cards I wanted to go over for these leaders. Now I'm going to pass it off to you guys. What would you build with these 3 leaders? You don't have to submit for all of them or anything. I will just be taking submissions in a new channel that I'm going to make in the Discord. Info for that will be in the description. Then just hop in there. You will know where to go because the channel will be labeled appropriately. And just submit your deck lists for either Red Purple Law or Red Purple Luffy or Red Purple Kid, And next week, before I go over the new card or the new leader for Roto Rotation for next week, I will go over some of you guys' lists, and we can kind of see what you guys came up with. I think that'll be a lot of fun. But that will wrap it up for this first edition of the Road to Rotation, and I will see you guys next week for the next thing. Our first, actually, let me look and see who is our next one that we have. So we want to do blocks, type, leader. So next week we will be going over, because I'm going to go in chronological order, we'll be going over Red Black Sabo. So the first time that Red Black Sabo exists. But until then, I will say goodbye and see you guys in the next video. Bye.